Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the National PTAC Day webinar. We will get started in just a few minutes, so hang tight and welcome. It's nice to see everybody there. My name is Tiffany. I'll be helping facilitate today's webinar. So just hang tight and we'll get started here shortly. Welcome, everyone. So welcome to our National PTAC Day webinar, Top Tips for Finding and Winning Government Contracts. I'm Tiffany Scroggs, and I'm the president of the Association of Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, known as PTAC. I'm also program manager of the Washington PTAC, and I'm thrilled that you're joining us today to help us celebrate our first ever PTAC Day. We have set aside this day to highlight and celebrate the hard work and tremendous success of the thousands of PTAC clients that we work with across the country, who, with the help of their local PTACs, are winning government contracts, providing critical products and services that our government agencies need, and creating jobs and economic growth in their communities. For not everyone, if you're not familiar with the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, known as PTACs, they're centers funded through a partnership between the U.S. Defense Logistics Agency and state and local governments, educational institutions, or nonprofits for the express purpose of helping businesses succeed in government contracting at little or no cost to you. Last year, PTAC served over 48,000 businesses, helping them win more than 166,000 government contracts and subcontracts worth over $20 billion. To share a bit more about the PTACs across the country, I'd like to introduce Sherry Savage, who is the Defense Logistics Agency's Program Manager for the Procurement Technical Assistance Program. Sherry oversees and manages DoD's cooperative agreements with all 94 PTACs nationwide, and she has a few thoughts that she'd like to share with you. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you, Tiffany. The Procurement Technical Assistance Program is authorized in law, funded in part with the Defense Department appropriations, and assigned to the Defense Logistics Agency since 1985. The program was created to increase the number of capable suppliers in the defense industrial base by creating procurement technical assistance centers to help businesses navigate that complicated government procurement process. The PTACs are hosted by state governments, universities, Indian tribes, and nonprofits like chambers of commerce. These hosts provide the other half of the funding. They employ procurement counselors with government contracting experience, and most of their services are provided at no cost to you. BLA issues terms and conditions to ensure a standard quality of service you can expect from your PTAC. Although they're similar, no two PTACs are alike. In addition to determining what kind of services businesses should receive from their PTAC, we provide training and oversight to ensure businesses receive high-quality service and assistance from their procurement counselors. The PTACs exist to help you get government contracts at any level of government, city, county, state, or federal. A PTAC client may be any U.S. business who is capable of performing on a government contract or subcontract. Clients range from suppliers who don't yet have a CAGE code to large businesses who want help finding capable small businesses to meet their subcontracting goals. PTACs host training on all government contracting topics and combine them with networking and matchmaking opportunities so government and large business buyers can interact with small businesses. PTACs also provide one-on-one counseling. They can guide you through a solicitation, help you understand the implications of contract terms and conditions, or explain potential pitfalls in a joint venture arrangement. Their assistance is customized to your need. PTACs don't do the work for your business. They teach you what to do to get government awards and provide opportunities for you to connect with others that can help. The PTACs bridge the gap between the buyers and suppliers. There's at least one PTAC in every state, as well as Guam, Puerto Rico, and Washington, D.C., and you can find your PTAC listed on APTAC's website and on the DLA webpage. On Google, searching for the term DLA PTAC will bring up the DLA PTAC locator map. Click on your state and enter your county, then your assigned PTAC contact information will be listed. If you don't already have a relationship with your local PTAC, I urge you to reach out to them. The federal government funds the PTACs to help you win government contract awards because we need your products and services. The procurement process is complicated and they can help. I'm glad you're with us today as we celebrate the PTAC.
Great, thank you, Sherry. I'm so glad you were able to join us today. Our webinar is designed to give you just a taste of the kind of expertise and advice that PTACs can offer, brought to you by 3 experienced counselors from across the country. Tom Larkin from the Georgia Tech Procurement Assistance Center. He'll talk about getting ready to enter the government marketplace. Florida PTAC's Patricia Simpson will introduce you to resources for finding government contracts. And Kate Hoy from the Washington PTAC will provide tips on bidding government contracts. Because we have so many of you joining us today, over 500 are logged in, and quite a few procurement centers across the country are live streaming. Hello, PTACs. Everyone other than our panelists is currently muted, and we're going to try and keep it that way. But the good news is, if you have any questions, your local PTAC counselor would be more than happy to answer them and help you determine which steps to take next. Also note that there are some web links mentioned in today's presentation, and those will be available at the abtac-us.org website. Just click on the webinar link found front and center. So, without further ado, I'll introduce our panelists and turn the presentation over to them. Tom Larkin is first. Tom is a procurement counselor with the Atlanta office of Georgia Tech Procurement Assistance Center, with over 25 years of management and consulting experience with the federal government. Tom is a practitioner turned educator. He had 17 years of hands-on experience in federal acquisition and then went on to be a professor of contracting at the Defense Acquisition University. He's been with Georgia Tech since 2009. Tom, take it away.
Thank you, Tiffany, and happy National PTAC Day, everyone. Folks, we're going to explore this topic of getting ready to enter the government marketplace through the lens of popular opinion versus market reality. We're going to look at some viewpoints that may help to identify if you want or should, or if it's viable to jump into this market space. We're also going to explore the topic of the different dynamics between the government and non-government marketplace. There are some distinct differences that you need to know to make an informed decision. And then lastly, we've got some resources to help guide you coming up with a decision if you choose to enter the government market space. In the world of academia, we call that empirical data. But here we're just going to confirm what your gut's been telling you. So let's go on down and look at popular opinion versus reality. Folks, this is real. 12 to 24 months to win your first government contract. Not because you're bad, not because you don't have a product or service to sell, but it might be because of budget. Government budgets, I know you're shocked, sometimes don't go very smoothly. Hurry up and wait. Have you heard the term? Do I need it tomorrow? So that's a factor in the 12 to 24 months. Additionally, who do I try to sell to? Folks, you've got to do some research. In this budget and this market space time, the term is go narrow, go deep. Try to be everything to everybody, you're not going to get anywhere. And lastly, you need to develop and build relationships, and most of all, you got to have a plan. Because at some point, you're going to stop and say, well, am I spinning my wheels? Am I moving forward? And the only way to do that is if you have a benchmark or you have a plan. So that's popular opinion out there, but the reality, 12 to 24 months. All right? Let's look at the next opinion versus reality. About here, senior moment. But it's called don't be blinded by the large dollar signs. I have clients ask me all the time, if I could get 1/10 of 1% of this, I could call it a day. But it takes a lot to get there, particularly in your infrastructure. There we go. That space takes effort. You need someone that can talk the talk, know the lingo, knowledgeable of the process, as well as a business plan, marketing plan, and a staff. And particularly here, I want you to take away, you need to know the cost of goods and services, because if you don't, the government's going to, not your friend, they're going to push you too low. And if you don't make money, you don't stay in business. So it takes time to build relationship with customers. Okay, let's go down now to my favorite slide in the whole presentation, y'all. Don't listen to your buds. Do your own research. Oftentimes, clients come to me the first time and they say, "Hey, Tom, I need a GSA schedule." I say, "You do?" And they say, "Sure do." And I ask them, "Well, have your customers asking you if your own schedule?" "No, but my friends are telling me I need a GSA schedule." Well, folks, GSA schedule is just one of many, many vehicles the government uses to purchase goods and services. It may be appropriate to have a schedule, but it also, the agency doesn't buy on schedule, it's not appropriate. So here's a tip. When you're talking with government officials and doing your research, ask them, do y'all purchase off a schedule? Do you use RFQ, RFPs? What about a BPA? And that's a good business question that you're asking them versus what do you have? Well, they don't have anything. So you need to learn, tune out your buds. Second tip, this is the biggie. This is where PTACs can help you. We can be an honest broker because we don't have a dog in the fight. If I help you win a gazillion dollars, amen, hallelujah, we celebrate. You say, "Tom, you don't know what you're talking about?" I say, "Well, how much did you pay me?" And in many instances, you didn't pay me anything. So do your research, go with what you learn, and kind of tune out your buds. Let's go to the next slide. Differences, government market space. Check this out, folks. First off, government wants you to accept all their terms and conditions. Non-government people, they can negotiate those. It's called reading the fine print, and you got to do it. Let's go down to the next difference. You have to complete the contract with the government. Did you know that if you walked off a government contract, they can terminate you for default and then get another vendor and charge you that amount of money? Bigger in Dallas. On the non-government side, your contract may have an escape clause. So know that difference in the space. And then the next one. Government purchases stuff competitively. They have a process. There are a few exceptions of direct award, but not many. And the non-government side, the commercial firm can purchase at will, direction of the owners. Okay. The next one of labor laws. This is a big one, folks. In the government market space, you may encounter Davis-Bacon Service Contract Act, and they have some compliance requirements. These compliant requirements, such as providing payroll, demonstrating that you're put the right person at the right pay, has an overhead implications. You've got to have folks that can maintain those compliant reports. So you need to be aware of that. On the non-government side, it's less strident. So those are some differences that you need to be aware of in the government market space compared to non-government. Now let's look at the resources to help you validate. We've already shown you how to locate a PTAC, just showed it again. So go to the nationwide and then assist your local PTAC. And let's go then to resources. Now, usaspending.gov. Outstanding site. But here's a couple of deep tips when you're working in this website. You want to look and take the Spending Explorer, 3 to 4 minute, I call it a tutorial on how to learn and navigate. And then you also want to go under the award search. That award search is going to take you to detailed capability, looking at specifics, year spent, specific agency. You can slice it and dice it in many, many ways. Now, what am I looking for, Tom? You keep telling me to go here, but what am I going to search for? I'm glad y'all asked that. Let's go to that next slide for questions, what we want to validate. We want to determine, does the government buy what I sell? And more importantly, the quantities that it might be buying. And let me explain what that means. You may have a beauty shop, and the government might have a beauty shop requirement in a prison or perhaps on a military base. In your area, does it fit your business? And it is at the volume that's going to help you. So you can use this to determine, does the government buy what I sell? Where in the government is my product or service bought? I tell my folks that if you sell screen doors, and we have a submarine base in Georgia, you don't want to call on that submarine base and try to sell a screen door to the submarine manufacturer. Fish, but it lets in the water. The other thing that you can do is, what does the government call my product or my service? You call it pea gravel. I call it washed stone. You call it identity protection. I call it information assurance. So folks, you got to learn the government lingo, as well as where are they going to purchase it next? And then in what quantity? And what about procurement history? So these are the categories of information you ought to be looking for as you determine and make a business decision. I want to participate at this time in the government market space. All right, let's go look at traits of a successful firm. You've got to know who your customer is and your target. The government's vast. 1 or 2 agencies. Remember I said earlier, go narrow, go deep, and stay in your lane, and you'll have that greater chance of success. The next tip, let's stay calm, folks. Dealing with the government, hurry up, wait, but understand they have a process, moves at its own pace. All right. What's the next trait here? Stay in a continual listening and learning mode. That's absolutely critical. This is where PTACs shine. Training, webinars, sharing information. Georgia Tech is beta testing a vendor community for GTPAC clients. Potential coming down. And so hopefully can share that information. But you've got to be talking to your peers and to others. So use your PTACs. Invest in and maintain a solid business infrastructure. You have to do it. Know what your goods and services cost. Understand how to talk to the government. Understand how to respond to their needs. Think, work, and talk with them. These are traits of a successful firm in the government market space. Next slide. So folks, if you decide not to enter the market space at this time, that's do your research, gather your empirical data. And you've got the infrastructure, the business plan, you know who to target, then you will be successful. And PTAC can help. Thank y'all very much for tuning in. And Tiffany, make the business decision. Back to you.
Great. Thank you, Tom. We appreciate your words of wisdom today. Next up is Patricia Simpson from the Florida PTAC. As a purchasing agent with 3 different government agencies in Florida, Patricia acquired extensive knowledge of state, local, and federal procurement contracting matters. Her goal is to provide client-centered guidance so that one by one, each client will understand the government procurement process that will assist them in generating new revenue, increasing job growth, and improving the economic climate in her state of Florida. Patricia, take it away.
Thank you, Tiffany. Greetings from the Sunshine State of Florida and the city beautiful Orlando. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how you can find government solicitations. What would you do if I gave you a secret key to unlock government solicitations? Well, I'm pleased to say that I do have a key, and the good news is it's no longer a secret. As you can see, market research is the key to successfully unlocking government solicitations. Now, market research, whether you conduct secondary or primary research, is critical to the success of your company as a contractor with the government. Market research will help you to evaluate your business to see if you are ready to win solicitations with the government. Tom already spoke about USA spending, so what I will do is just to say that this is one of the key databases that I encourage clients to use. And this database, you are able to look at how the government is spending, where the government is spending, so that can help you make a decision if you should contract with a particular agency. Acquisition.gov is another critical database that anyone, whether you are new or whether you are experienced in the marketplace, then you should be looking at acquisition.gov, because here, this is the primary source of where you're going to get the rules and regulation that govern federal procurement, as in the Federal Acquisition Regulations, or the FAR. The Federal Data Procurement System, or FPDS, Federal Procurement Data System, this is another database that I encourage all my clients to register. And we have, on the next slide, a synopsis of what you can find when you go to FPDS, as it's commonly known. In fact, just last week, I had someone contact me because this person wanted to find out the top vendor in the medical field who sold to the government, the federal government, as a prime contractor. What I was able to do was to search using a NAICS code. You can use a NAICS code, you can use a company name, you can use an agency name. There are various ways to search. It's very simple. You type in in my case, the primary NAICS code, and if you look to the left of the screen, you'll see 3 arrows. It actually comes up with the top 10 department names, the top 10 contracting agency names, and the top 10 vendor names. And with this information, I was able to provide to the client the top 10 contractors or prime contractors in the federal government. You can also use FPDS to pull some competitive data. So I highly encourage each participant to register your business in the FPDS database. I noticed that we have some businesses that are new to the federal government, and we have experienced businesses. If you are new to the federal government, the Dynamic Small Business Search, or DSBS, it's also known as the SBA Profile. This is a database where Agencies, if you look where the arrow is pointing, you'll see where it says quick market research. Let's say NASA wanted to find a contractor for a particular project. They will go to this database and conduct a market research. And hopefully, if the company is optimized in this database, meaning they have the keywords that pertain to their business, they have performance history, and they have a narrative that describes what the business does, then NASA will be able to pull up a list, and hopefully from that list, they can do additional research, but definitely you will be on NASA's radar. And as a small business, you can also conduct market research in this database to find potential partners. The Federal Business Opportunities Database, also known as FBO.gov or FedBizOps. This is a key database for finding current opportunities. The number you see, 41,400, the day that I obtained this information, those were the active federal solicitations on that day. But this number changes every day. And you can do a few things. I would encourage you to register on this database, because from this database, you can elect to have solicitations sent to your inbox on a daily basis that pertains to what you do. Now, the solicitations posted in this database are typically in excess of $25,000. If you look to the right of the screen, you'll also see where I've highlighted you can also search for small business events. Sometimes agencies will hold industry days, and these industry days can be in your state, it can be anywhere in the country. So this is critical for you understanding what the government intends to buy and then getting some information on that particular solicitation. You can also ask questions when you attend these industry days. Now, I believe Tom also talked initially about the GSA, or General Services Administration schedules. And for those of you who are new to the government market, when you get on a schedule, as it's commonly known, it just means that the GSA has approved your business to do business with the federal government. These schedules are sometimes called multiple award schedules or federal supply schedules. And they tend to be long-term contracts. If you do win one of these, can be up to 20 years. So it's definitely worth your while exploring GSA schedules. And just as a side note, there are two schedules that state and local governments can buy from. That is the IT 70 schedule and also schedule number 84, law enforcement. So when you are marketing your business, if you have those two schedules, not only can you market to the federal government, but you can market to state and local governments. And GSA is kind of a win-win, because for buyers, having the schedules predetermined save the agencies money and time. And for you as a company, it gives you a direct link to the government contracting agency. The key to, I believe, to successful GSA scheduling is to make sure that you target agencies that use the schedule. I know typically all agencies should use the schedules, but you'll find in reality some use the schedules more than others. So again, this is where your research comes in. You need to find out which agencies are buying on the schedules and target those agencies. Literally make an appointment, go in and see them. When I was a buyer with the state of Florida, companies would come to me on a regular basis, and I would make note of the companies that were on the schedule. So when I had an opportunity available, I would make sure that I sent them at least some idea that we were going to buy products and services from the schedule. subnet is, I think, a really good and effective way for companies who are entering the marketplace, the federal market space. And what subnet does, it's actually a small business administration database, and you will need to log in. For most, if not all of these resources that we're providing, you will need to log in and register on these sites. And simply put, subnet is a database of prime contractors looking for subcontractors to perform on contracts. So really useful. One of the key things to all the resources that I'm speaking about today is another good news is that none of these resources will cost you any money. These are at no cost. It will obviously cost you time, but it's worthwhile. The SBA also has a directory of prime contractors with subcontracting plans. And essentially what this means is if if a prime contractor wins a solicitation over $700,000, or if it's a construction opportunity over $1.5 million, that prime contractor or large contractor, they have to write a subcontracting or a goal plan. And that could be to include different categories. For instance, veteran-owned small businesses. They have to essentially find out or prove to the SBA how they're going to include you as a small business. Now, here's a synopsis of what the prime contractors database for the SBA looks like. This is a really watered down version, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the type of information that you could find. You're going to find the name of the agency that awarded the contract, the contract number, which you can use. You can, for instance, give this contract number to one of your PTAC consultants, and we have databases that will cost you nothing, where we can look further into either if it was a previous contract, we can look to see who won the contract, how much, etc. It gives you the completion date. It provides the NAICS code, the vendor name, not just the vendor name, but when you go to this database, you will see it gives you all the information you will need to make contact with that vendor. So if you wanted, for instance, to do business with Xerox as a subcontractor, it's going to have the contact information. And of course, it gives you the amount of the award. Additionally, the US Department of Defense, or the DoD, also has a directory of prime contractors. Again, the same rules apply. This database identifies other small contractors that are required to establish subcontracting goals and plans. And the rule of $700,000 and $1.5 million for construction also applies. And here's a list of some of the DoD prime contractors, which many of you will probably know these names: General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman. We're going to go back to the GSA simply because the GSA also has a subcontracting directory for small businesses. And this directory is published for small businesses that are seeking subcontracting opportunities with the GSA prime contractor. It's going to list the name of the prime contractor business, who by law, as we saw earlier, they have to establish plans and goals to include small business firms. This is one of my favorite resources. It's not applicable to every small business. Primarily, if you sell widgets, if you're a manufacturer and you sell, for instance, things like parts for aircraft, cable, gears and spleens, hardware, machining, seals and gaskets. The Defense Internet Bid Board System, or DIBS, this is an ideal way for you to start doing business with the federal government. A lot of the opportunities on DIBS are actually submitted as quotes. So let's say, for instance, you're a manufacturer and you can manufacture wire harnesses or cable. The DLA, you're registered with the DLA because again, you have to register. And just to remind you, the DLA supports the entire military. That's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, and Coast Guards. So if you are selling wire harnesses and the DLA puts out a quote, they want 500 wire harnesses. You submit your quote and it's a really quick response, unlike your formal solicitation process that can take months or that can be hundreds of pages. These are quotes. And one of the nice things about this is if your quote is the lowest dollar amount and it's accepted by the DLA, payment is fast. Let me say that again. The DLA will pay you quickly, which to a small business equals cash flow. And I'm hearing a lot of cheering in the background because, as we all know, cash flow is critical for all businesses, but particularly for small business. So if this is something that you're able to provide and to fulfill the mission of the DLA, then please look at the Defense Internet Bid Board System, or DIBS. Within DIBS is a forecasting tool called a navigator. You can use the navigator to look at future plans that the DLA has to provide products and services. Another resource that's specific to companies that sell pharmaceutical products, medical, surgical supplies, or medical equipment is called the Distribution and Pricing Agreement, or DAPA. This is another DLA program. It's a DLA prime vendor program. And I have a link there that one can register for that service. Now, I have to give Georgia Tech a plug because they have a really good resource for this. And I know that the PTAC is providing this information for you. Now, some other sources that you can use include bid match programs. All PTACs throughout the country have some form of a bid matching database. In Florida, we use the system that's called outreach systems. And when I speak to clients about outreach systems, I usually describe it as federal business opportunities on steroids. This is because the PTAC has to register you for this service. There is no cost for this service. The bid match data with the keywords that we select will search for international opportunities for you, federal opportunities, state and local. So you're able to capture opportunities not just from one source, but from several. And really, because it's at no cost to you, this is something that I highly encourage you to go back to your PTAC and find out which system. Now, the service that we provide in Florida through outreach systems is no cost, but other PTACs may have a nominal cost. Mostly we've been speaking about finding federal procurement, but the PTAC's role is really to help a company grow through government contracting, whether that is state, federal, or local. And what I would suggest here is that, again, it's important to target the agency that sells or that wants to procure what you sell. Once you've done that, you will need to register as a vendor or a supplier with that state, city, county, or other municipalities. And don't forget colleges and universities too. There are fee-based bid services. We don't recommend any one over the other. Again, this is research that you'll need to conduct on your own. But that is another option for you to find opportunities. You can also attend small business outreach events. I know in our market, next month, the annual NASA Expo is coming up, and we encourage clients to attend those events because it's a way of you participating with other small businesses and other large businesses and federal, state, and local agencies. Meet and greet, get to know your procurement folks at the different agencies. That will be easier for you to have relationships with them. Remember, you have a free or a no-cost key to successfully help you to become a government contractor. Use your key to unlock these government opportunities that will help to grow your business. Back to you, Tiffany.
Great, thank you, Patricia. And for those of you that are engaging us with chat, yes, the links that Patricia provided will be live in the PDF copy of the webinar that we provide. We'll provide a link to all the live links so that if you're frantically scrambling or trying to do the shortened URL, sometimes that doesn't work. So we will be providing those links on the aptac-us.org website. So thank you, Patricia. I appreciate your insights there. And finally, I'm happy to introduce our third and final presenter today, somebody that's a part of the Washington PTAC team, Kate Hoy. Kate joined our team last year after relocating from Arizona, where she had worked with the Arizona PTAC. Prior to that, she owned her own consulting firm where she helped business owners locate and respond to government solicitations. Kate, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Happy National PTAC Day. Welcome to Bidding on Government Contracts. Today, we're going to go over top 10 tips on how to prepare a response for a solicitation, also known as creating your proposal. Tip number 1. Read the entire solicitation. Solicitations can be long, 20, 30, 150 pages long, but there is stuff in there that you don't want to miss. And this solicitation will become your contract. So read it, make sure you understand it, and read it all. If you're bidding on federal contracts, you get to download and read all kinds of different documents. So make sure you download them, you save them, and again, you read and understand them all. Tip number 2, create a response timeline. You will be very lucky if you get 3 weeks to respond to a formal solicitation. The time goes by very fast. Who will be responsible for the response? Who will proofread? Who will copy it and deliver it? Extra tip. Do not deliver or plan on uploading your bid on the last day. Everything will go wrong. You don't need the stress. Note some important dates to consider, like when should you check for addendums? When is the question and answer period over? How much prep time will you need? And biggest tip of all, plan on submitting your proposal the day before it's due. If you wait for the final due date, the final hour, I guarantee you something will go wrong. Tip number 3, follow the directions. Nothing will ruin your day more than submitting a bid that doesn't even get considered because the instructions were not followed. In every solicitation, there will be some sort of instructions on how to respond. Your job is to find them and comply. Tip number 4, understand the response format. Your response requirements list may seem deceptively simple at first. For example, These pages here are extensions of the initial response requirements from our earlier tip. This agency wants these items responded to, and these, and these. So make sure you understand all that you're responsible to respond to. Tip number 5, include all attachments. Attachments or addendums could be anything depending on the requirements of the solicitation. Here are some commonly missed attachments. Forgetting an attachment will definitely ruin your day. Another completely free tip. Make a list of the required and promised attachments as you go along writing your proposal. Tip number 6, get the price right. You cannot change your mind once you submit and you get awarded a contract, and you do not want to lose money. You need to get this part right so you're not stuck in a contract that could put you out of business, and this does happen. So make sure you not only understand your pricing, but you also understand how the agency wants you to present your pricing. They may want complicated financial information, or they might make it simple like this. Tip number 7, proofread. If you're copying and pasting from another response, did you delete all the old references? Is the data you're including up to date? Is it relevant to the current solicitation? Did you reference the current solicitation information in the header or in the footer of your response? Tip number 8. Are all the required parts there? Similar to our tip on attachments, not signing the cover letter or not acknowledging receipt of addendums can ruin your day as well as your chance of winning. Tip number 9, get your bid in on time. This will really ruin your day. If you did not follow my advice on tip number 2 regarding getting your bid in early, do not attempt to deliver or upload the same day it's due. Something will go wrong. Enough said. Finally, tip number 10, debrief. Why did you win? Why did you lose? This will not be your first or last proposal submission, so learn what you can do about your response. Somewhere in your solicitation there was the evaluation criteria. You can request your score from the agency to find out where you lost points. You can also request an in-person debrief from the agency, or you can ask your favorite PTAC counselor to review your response for you and give you tips for next time. Thank you for joining Tom, Patricia, and me today. We look forward to learning about your successes and challenges in the government marketplace.
Great, thank you, Kate. I appreciated you sharing your top 10 tips, and thank you to Tom and Patricia. Those 3 counselors are just a sample of the talent and knowledgeable people across the country that are designed to be there to help you guys win government contracts and subcontracts. We also help at the state and local level as well. So I know there are a lot of questions that popped up on the chat function and in your head that we couldn't get to today. We highly recommend you go to the websites available to find your local PTAC and ask them. How we work is you work with the local PTAC near where your firm is located, and they can help you sell to the government at any point across the country. So just because I'm out here in Washington State doesn't mean that you work with me to do Washington State contracts. You work with your local counselor there, and they'd be more than happy to work with you at no cost. So I hope that you will turn to your local PTAC whenever you need help with your contracting efforts. The website there is to find the PTAC closest to you. Also on that page is a link of all the websites mentioned here today. And later on today will also be the recording for today's webinar if you wanted to take a look at again or forward to a colleague. And I know when I speak for all of my colleagues across the country, when I say that it would be our pleasure to help you succeed. So please consider engaging us on social media today. It's our PTAC day, so we're pretty excited about that. Social media is blowing up with all sorts of fun things. So please engage with us there and share your success in working with the government and your PTAC. So until then, best wishes to everyone. Thank you for attending and happy PTAC Day.